now let's have a discussion about who were the jerks in the movie, right? Because we came out of the movie, my wife and I got into a huge debate in this about this, right? And who deserved what share, right? Because if you watch the movie, that's a huge part of the movie, right? Saverin got screwed by Zuckerberg. Should he have gotten screwed? Most people will say, of course not, right? But I say partly yes, okay? And I didn't hate Zuckerberg at the end of the movie. In some ways, I understood him a little bit better, right? And so Saverin in the movie, for those of you seen it, you'll know, it originally has 30%, and then at some point, goes, when they go to California to set up the business, Saverin's in New York.
He's trying to sell ads.
He's trying to sell ads, but Zuckerberg, who's the head of the company, said, don't sell ads.
And Sean Parker is saying this is not the future, although they never ordered him not to do it. It was a debate between the guy running the business end and the guy running the creative.
I hear you. But then they come back, and it's fall, and so Saverin's got to make a decision. He's going to stay with the company, go back to Harvard. He goes back to Harvard. I think, look, I get the choice. I get it. I might go back to Harvard, too, but you're not going to keep 30% of that company. You got to keep it real, right? So now he got hosed completely, and then he comes back and sues him. Obviously, that's part of the movie. But I didn't feel as much sympathy for him as perhaps some of the other audience did. Am I crazy?
I mean, he did put up the initial $19,000 to start what would become Facebook. And then when they're screwing around behind his back, he freezes it. And justifiably so. It's his money, and he feels like they're not spending it in a way that he has been given an opportunity to talk about it. Right, but then he's checking out of the business, though.
He's checking out of the business when he freezes
their
account.
He's proving a point. I don't think he wanted it out entirely.
And he got talked out of it. He got talked out of it the same day.
Yeah. No, look, I hear you, but I mean, for what little, if you believe the movie, let's put it that way, right? And I know the movie's not factual, but if you look at that movie, for what little Saverin did, he should really get 30% of $25 billion.
He wrote the initial program.
That was for Face Smash. That was a little different.
That's what started it, and this guy needed his help, and they started it. I disagree with you 150%, mainly because you're wrong.
Okay.
I mean, because you frame it without leaving out incredibly pertinent facts. I mean, he had 30%. They didn't use any of the arguments you made, like, oh, you went back to Harvard. What are we going to do? That's not part of it. He could go to Harvard. He could go to Jamaica for 4 months. They have a deal.
He's still part
and
of
then
the
they
deal,
swindled him into signing something. I mean,
that's completely unacceptable. I totally agree with you.
But that's the whole reason he got screwed out of it, because there was a swindle. So end of story. But you can't swindle him.
Okay,
and ethically, you shouldn't swindle him.
No, of course.
And I know you agree with that.
No, I totally agree with that. But I'm saying if they came back to Saverin and said, hey, listen, man, we're busting our ass over here. You went back to Harvard. That's a fine decision. But everybody's getting watered down as investors are coming in. We're going to water you down a little harder, okay? I don't think that would have been unconscionable.
Well, I mean, first of all, they watered him down from 30% to 0.01%. So it's not watering you down. That's waterboarding you. So, I mean, there's no – so, I mean, I don't –
No, I agree with you in that the lawsuit, Eduardo Saverin's lawsuit, is based on the piece of paper that he signed, not knowing what it was exactly that he was signing because they screwed him with the phrasing of it or whatever. So the lawsuit's not based on anything that happened at Harvard or in Palo Alto or whatever. It's based on the piece of paper.
He just went back to finish his degree. That's all.
Now, and he did sign that paper. Though. If you're the judge, what do you give Saverin? Do you give him 30% or do you give him less? I would have given him less. I would have given him, I don't know if it's 10, 15, 20.
I don't know. He wasn't even seeking 30. He was seeking, one, he got his name back on the masthead.
Okay.
And he was seeking money.
Right.
Not 0.01. I mean,
Yeah, no, but that's easy. That's easy. Of course he shouldn't get 0.01.
So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not the judge. You give him a good amount of money. They screwed him. He's entitled to money. He was involved, and you settle that with a conversation. Like, hey, okay, we're going to water it down. And by the way, Sean Parker's didn't get watered down, and he arguably did less.
He just brought in investors.
And by the way, since we don't know, but the lawsuit, we know that Saverin sued, and we know that part we know is true. I mean, when I say that there were flaws in the movie, that they misrepresent some overall ideas, and I don't like when stuff is made to seem in a film as if it's totally factual, and then it turns out that significant parts aren't. But some stuff, as Christy said, we know is true. We know Saverin sued. We know he got his share significantly watered down. So all that's true. But that's got to be just a real conversation between people, because it was a genuine difference of opinion about how to proceed.
And you can't do it behind his back. I agree there. Now, on to Parker and the Winklevosses as quickly as we get. Parker, look, he got 7%. That seems like egregious because the movie painted him out as not doing much, being a party boy, being, like a smooth talker in a way. but he got them massive funding.
He got them
and that was
half,
absolutely critical. So I was not outraged that he got 7%. I was like, well, he provided a service, and he got a percentage for that service.
Yeah, he had name recognition, he had connections, he got them $500,000 initially. I'm fine with him getting that money. I think Eduardo
He has a Grammy, too, doesn't he?
he has his dick in a box, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Very exciting. I just said dick.
Oh, my God. I hope the UPI is hiring.
Oh, me too. No, but I think that Safran has more of a case than the Winklevosses do.
Totally.
Right. And
he actually helped create the thing versus the Winklevosses saying,
oh,
we have
totally,
an idea.
totally. And on the Winklevosses, again, I'm on Zuckerberg's side. Oh, we had an idea. I love the line in the movie where Zuckerberg says, here's how you could have started Facebook. By starting Facebook.
Right.
Okay. You didn't. I did.
Right.
I mean, ideas are a dime a dozen. I have a million ideas.
Like they had a general agreement, the Winklevosses.
See, it's a hard name.
Winklevi, as they call it in the movie.
The Winklevosses had an idea, and they said to Zuckerberg, hey, help us with this idea. Go do it. And he said yes. And then he clearly spent most of that time coming up with a similar but different idea and doing it himself. That strikes me as within the bounds of tough, aggressive business practices. And these guys were like, hey, you never respond to us. I mean, so hire somebody else.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, get cracking and do your own thing. And then, now that said, I might sue if I were them too and try to come up with some money because they have an argument.
Right, and they wound up winning a gargantuan amount of money, so I get their motivation.
Yeah.
But if I was the judge and it actually went to trial, I wouldn't have given him anything.
I did love in the movie Larry, according to the movie, and I presume the book, the Winklevi go to Larry Summers for saying that Zuckerberg violated the Harvard student standard of behavior because he stole their idea. And Larry Summers is totally unimpressed with that. And he suggests that this idea is going nowhere. They're like, it could be $1 million idea. And Summers is like, I don't think so. Come up with
that might have been my favorite part of the movie because they take a dig at Summers.
As soon as I heard that, I wrote down in my notes. I'm like, oh, Jack's gonna.
Right.
I loved it too because I wrote it and then I circle it. I'm like, Larry Summers is an idiot. Let's make him the most important economic advisor to the president.
Yeah, he was dead wrong on that. He's been dead wrong on everything else. And look, one last thing on Winklevoss.
Wrong again, Larry.
Exactly. Is that, look, if he had taken some of their code, there was already code that they had written.
But he didn't.
Then I would say, okay, they have a good case. But he didn't take any of their code. He just took a somewhat generic idea. No.
You know what's
not
funny
guilty.
is that in retrospect, the Winklevosses actually really liked this movie. We did a story about Tyler Winklevoss because he his brother rode for the U.S. in the Olympics in Beijing. So one of our sports writers actually interviewed Tyler Winklevoss this past week.
And he likes the movie?
They both do.
Yeah, I think you know what? I think they come out okay. They're
they
pissed.
do.
They had a great idea. They got close to it. They didn't go over the top. They made it clear that they had a great idea.
And without any work, they got a gargantuan amount of money.
And they're sort of,
if I was to pick any character in that movie, Zuckerberg is working his ass off, has no friends, and is hated by so many people. Winklevosses are getting women, they're getting Olympic medals.
Yeah. They were wealthy anyway. They were fine anyway.
And at the end, they get all this money for an idea. Oh, I love being them.
The movie makes you wonder how any guy at Harvard ever has sex with a girl.
Well, not the Winklevi. I mean,
I know, but they're such pricks.
They're like pretentious.
Although
and
they
unbearable.
although you expected them to be more pretentious than they were, which may be one reason why they liked it.
They're self-aware.
But they were self-aware. All right, so there you go. We liked it. That was a good, lively discussion about who to hate more.